Welcome back to this week's episode of Unlocked. I am still in awe when I look back at all the episodes that we've done, just how crazy it is. I mean, I honestly don't know a ton of podcasts that go every single week. I know that a lot of them do seasons, and I don't know why, but at the very beginning, we just decided we're going to do it every single week. And oh my gosh, it has been quite the journey. I don't know how my team and I have done it, but we have. And thanks to you guys, you make it all possible. So just wanted to start off this episode with a little bit of gratitude for why we're at where we're at. And a lot of you, I would say pretty much everyone loved the Prison Diaries episodes. They were very informative. It gave you a look into Mom's life from her perspective. And now I have more letters from her. I have not read these yet, so I wanted it to be as organic as possible. I just got these in the mail Saturday, and today is Monday. So this, I believe, pertains to just her transport and just her experience through the lens of her, the person that it actually happened with. Ow. Oh, I think I gave myself a paper cut. Sorry, starting off great. And there's a lot. So, gosh, I swear, this is so much. It's literally like, holy cow. If we don't get this done in one episode, then we're just going to have to keep the episodes going. This is literally a whole notebook. The appeal. What did it mean? Early summer 2024, I called Savannah as I do every day, and she gave me the news. Mom, you won your appeal. I wasn't expecting it, and I definitely wasn't expecting to be so emotional. I was happy and yet sad at the same time. It was good news for me, but Todd didn't receive the same news. This entire ordeal we had faced together. I had to shift my focus and realize that whatever the win was, it was a win for both of us. The resentencing would take place on September 25th, 2024. I immediately went into action and asked my case manager and attorney to submit the proper paperwork to ask permission to have the resentencing hearing via Zoom, as I had been denied a furlough because I am considered high profile. Even though I was able to self-surrender when I came to prison initially, my counselor was able to work with the judge's clerk, and he received the call-in information. This feeling was short-lived. My counselor, shortly after receiving the confirmation, received another email from the clerk stating that the judge had denied my Zoom request and that I would have to appear. To say I was devastated was an understatement. This meant I would have to go through transit, the very thing I was trying to avoid. People in prison love to tell their horror stories, and I had heard more stories about transit and how horrible it was than anything else. World travels very fast in prison, and word of my appeal traveled like wildfire. There was so much misinformation. From officers to inmates, everyone had me going home. I knew in my heart it wasn't happening, but I wanted to stay positive. I repeatedly kept telling the kids to have no expectations, and my parents, of the appeal. My anxiety began to creep up with every passing day. During transit, you don't know what day you'll be leaving the facility or where you'll be taken to. According to the BOP and the marshals who handle transit, it is a security breach to let the inmate know this information. Her handwriting, y'all, is so messy, so please bear with me. I left my facility on Wednesday, August 24th, 2024. I was shackled, handcuffed, and belly chained. I was taken by 2 female officers to the Lexington airport, where I was put on Con Air. Yes, it really does exist. Con Air is a commercial plane that has been stripped down. Females are placed on the plane along with the male inmates to be transported. The females sandwiched between the marshals in the front of the plane and the males directly behind you. I made sure to not eat or drink anything because I didn't want to have to walk past the males to get to the restroom, even though there was a restroom in the front. And at no point are your handcuffs removed. And so it was really difficult if you do have to go to the restroom. Once the plane, let's not forget, the restroom at the front of the plane is only meant for the marshals. So if I had to go, I would have to walk to the back of the plane. Once the plane takes off, you have no idea where you're going. After about an hour, we began to descend. We were landing in Memphis to pick up and drop off inmates. The males walk to and from past you, entering and exiting the plane. To say it is a traumatizing event is an understatement. We then take off again and land in a few hours later in Oklahoma City. I was removed from the plane along with other inmates and dispersed. I was put on a bus along with many others and driven 2 hours to Cimarron, a holding facility. I was escorted off the bus and taken to a holding cell where I waited along with approximately 10 to 12 others. I was processed in, handed a mat and a bag with a uniform, underwear, sports bra, and a few other necessities, then taken to my pod. It's what you would imagine, and I'm sure you've seen on TV. There are cells around the perimeter of the pod, a common area in the middle. I was at Cimarron for 6 days. You're locked down at every count and at night. I had to navigate the phone as I knew my family would be worried. I was finally able to call and let them know where I was and that I was okay. I truly believe I was in shock, and I had no way of knowing that this would be the best place I would see for the next 54 days. I did not go outside of the pod until I was told on my 6th night that I would need to pack out because I was leaving. So that's 6 days inside, not seeing any sunlight, just so to make that clear. I gathered my stuff and gave away the few items I had accumulated. I waited with the other ladies leaving to be called back to receiving and discharge. It was approximately 3 a.m. before this happened. I left the facility at about 4 a.m. and took the cold 2-hour bus ride back to the Oklahoma City airport. I boarded another plane and off I went again. I arrived in Atlanta at about 12 p.m. I cannot with her. I found it so ironic that the plane landed and we were taken to the area of the airport designated for the private planes. I had to laugh to keep from crying. I was then put on another bus and taken to another holding facility in Lovejoy, Georgia. I arrived at that facility at approximately 1:30 and did not get to the pod until 10:30 p.m. I was kept in a holding facility for 9 hours with 2 other women. I was exhausted as I had been up for about 36 hours. Lovejoy houses men and women, so men were being held in holding cells on the same side as me. Again, traumatized is an understatement. I was finally walked to my pod, and the smell of marijuana was so strong in the halls that it literally took my breath. Once I was in the pod, I was shown my cell and able to shower. The ladies in the pod were very helpful and nice to me. Many of them were waiting to be sentenced or waiting to be designated to a BOP facility. Again, I was locked in my cell during every count, and it lights out. We were given rec time sporadically during my stay. This meant we were able to go outside for 1 hour each day. Outside consisted of a block yard with the top exposed to the sky. So for people that don't know, this is just a cinder block walls that feel like they go up miles high and all you can see is the sky. I took advantage of this every time I could. The morning of my resentencing, I was taken to court, shackled, handcuffed, and belly chained. After the hearing, I was taken back to Lovejoy to wait to be taken to Lexington. I remained in Lovejoy for another 2 weeks. Again, I was told the night of October 15th that I would be leaving the next day. I was so grateful because I just knew I would be back in Lexington by dinner the next day. Wrong. While on the plane, I took a chance and asked a marshal if the plane was going to Lexington. He replied, "No, it's going to Oklahoma." I wanted to die. This couldn't be happening again, but it was, and it was about to get worse. The plane landed in Oklahoma, and my name was called. I was told to exit the back of the plane, and when I got to the bottom of the stairs, I saw the bus. Prosperity of Grady County Jail. Ugh. No. The marshal was putting me down. Oh, gosh, this one's so hard because I just remember. All right, y'all. Let me tell you about the shoes that have literally changed my life. Yes, you've heard me talk about these before, and well, they're the G-Defy shoes. Between running my businesses and staying active, my feet used to be in constant pain, but not anymore. G-Defy's patented VersoShock technology absorbs all that impact and actually gives energy back with every step. It actually feels like you're walking on clouds, and they're stylish too, which is a must-have for me. I've been pairing them with leggings and an oversized blazer, and let me tell you, I'm getting compliments left and right. Whether I'm walking into a meeting or just running errands, G-Defy has me covered. Guys, I am absolutely obsessed with them that I've actually gotten them for my grandmothers, and well, they are obsessed. One of my grandmothers works 10-hour days, and she says her feet have never felt better. Here's the best part. G-Defy is giving you 50% off orders over $120. Just go to gdefy.com and use promo code UNLOCKED. That's gdefy.com and use promo code UNLOCKED at checkout. Trust me, you'll feel the difference. I swear, I feel like with each podcast that passes, I get these same questions over and over again on my YouTube channel. And that is, what do you do for your skin? Well, as we kick off the new year, I wanted to share a little secret. Over the past few years, I've actually stopped setting these grand resolutions because, let's face it, we never follow them anyway. And instead, I've made it a habit to do something good for my health every day. And that includes using OneSkin. Only OneSkin has the OS01 peptide, the first ingredient to target cellular senescence, a root cause of aging responsible for lines, wrinkles, and crepey skin. With OneSkin's groundbreaking approach, you're not just helping your skin look and feel younger and healthier on the surface, but you're helping it behave better at the cellular level, so you'll see improvements now and in the future. Remember, it's the small habits that add up to big changes. So whether you're looking for a scientifically proven cleanser, moisturizer, sunscreen, or a whole new routine, we love the Complete Skin Longevity Regimen. Here, OneSkin can seriously transform your skin. Give it 12 weeks and see for yourself. Make 2025 the year you invest in habits that keep your skin healthier and help you look your best. Use code UNLOCKED for an exclusive 15% off at oneskin.co. Founded and led by an all-woman team of skin longevity scientists, OneSkin is redefining the aging process with their proprietary OS01 peptide, the first ingredient proven to help skin look, feel, and behave like its younger self. Get 15% off with code UNLOCKED at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code UNLOCKED. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. And please support our show and tell them we sent you. Invest in the health and longevity of your skin with OneSkin. Your future self will sure thank you. The marshal was patting me down before directing me to the bus. I began to cry, and she mouthed to me, "I'm so sorry." I had heard so many horror stories of Shady Grady. The bus took us to Grady County Jail, where I was processed in, along with several others. It was the most disgusting place I've ever seen. I was taken to a pod with 15 sets of triple bunk beds lining the walls. There was one disgusting bathroom with 2 working showers and 3 toilets. Keep in mind, the toilets were side by side with no dividers and 0 privacy. There were cameras in the bathroom above the toilets. I was mortified and traumatized once more. The drinking water was horrible. It was straight out of a bathroom faucet and smelled and tasted like lake water. The ladies told me that the residents of the county were advised to boil the water before drinking. Thank God there was a microwave and I was able to cook the water, let it cool, and then drink it. I was not allowed to leave the pod. We were locked in 24/7. Grady County lived up to every horror story that I had ever been told. I waited every night for my name to be called to pack out. After 9 days, it finally happened. I was on my way back to Lexington. I have never been so happy to get back. The process was the worst experience I have faced since being incarcerated. After arriving back in Lexington, I was able to let my family know I was back. I think everyone was relieved. I know I was. The whole ordeal taught me so many things. I am stronger than I ever knew I was. I'm grateful to be back in Lexington. I will cherish the time I get to spend with my family. I look forward to every email from my husband. We were not able to communicate during my time in transit. The transit process needs change and reform, especially for women. Until next time, love, Mom. Gosh, it wasn't as long as I thought. I guess the papers were just really thick. Gosh, reading this, first off, to hear in her words, I knew how tough this process was. I will never forget the days of transit that I knew that when I didn't hear from her, that she was probably in transit. Because we made it a point, she called me every morning. She called me multiple times a day. And so when I didn't hear from her, I knew she was somewhere being transported. And then one morning I got a call and then someone pronounced their name and I was like, this isn't my mom. I was like, but I'm going to answer it. And luckily she had gotten resourceful. She had given another woman that was in custody my phone number to call and to let me know that they had taken Mom. And I was so grateful for that because at least I had answers. I had answers of where she was. And during the time that she was gone, I spent $500 easily in just communicating with her. Phone calls, emails, because it is so expensive to communicate with family, which should be against the law, honestly. Because what helps these men and women in custody and what helps to reduce recidivism is interaction with the outside world, interaction with your family, to know that your family is still there. They still love you, to hear their voices. That's what helps to better these men and women. So I will forever be grateful for the women at those facilities that called me to tell me that my mom was in transit. I will also never forget when Mom got to Cimarron and she called me and she could barely say hello. Like, she was sobbing. And to hear her throughout this whole process, she has never cried to me on the phone. And this was when I heard her just completely broken. And it was so difficult to hear the hurt in her voice and to know the trauma that she had experienced. And she was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. This is so bad. This is so bad. And there were men in a holding cell next to her fighting. And the fact that we have facilities that are holding men and women within the same vicinity should not be happening. It just shouldn't. We hear women's rights. People want to preach women's rights. And, well, this is part of women's rights. Women should not have to endure this kind of trauma. I think if you think about it too, if a woman has been traumatized by a man in her life, whether that is verbal abuse, mental abuse, sexual abuse, being in an atmosphere like this is triggering and re-traumatizing. And it's doing nothing to help them. It is the most inhumane thing that could happen. So to hear Mom as she's in tears was devastating. And to see her walk into the courtroom shackled was just, I don't even have words. It was extremely tough. You don't even see hardened criminals treated this way half the time, which is so crazy to me that I'm at a loss for words, honestly. As I've said numerous times before, and as you'll see in our newest appellate brief, the judge had it out for her. The judge, all of her actions were retaliatory, and the Supreme Court has ruled on that. Not on our case specifically, but actions such as ones that the judge took. And I am going to pray every single day for our judge and her heart, because I hope and pray she's never in a position to be treated like my mother. And karma sucks. It does. When Mom walked in that courtroom and I saw her, it took all I had in me to hold back the tears. But I looked at her and I said, I love you. I mouthed, I love you. And that was it. I also told her to keep her head down, because there were reporters in the courtroom. There were sketch artists. There were low-life people in there that were happy to see the downfall of my mother, one of them being Josh Waits' wife, who I've spoken about plenty of times before. And what I'm going to say is I would much rather see my mom shackled in a federal courtroom than I would see my mom on OnlyFans, such as Josh Waits' wife. And she can't sue me for that, because the images and videos were purchased and they were on OnlyFans, so you can't sue me for a lie. So I'd much rather see my mom shackled than see her bare it all for the world to see. But she was in the courtroom just thrilled and ecstatic. And there's a special place in hell for people like that, I will say. And for people who may just be catching on or getting up to date, Josh Waits was he was with the Georgia Department of Revenue. He was with their special investigations team. He was the one who went into a warehouse and illegally searched the warehouse with a search warrant that was never even signed off on by a judge. He had committed multiple crimes And that is documented within an OIG report. When the OIG did a full investigation, the Office of Inspector General did a full investigation into the Georgia Department of Revenue and all of their corruption, illegal activity, theft, you name it. So those things are documented within an OIG report. And I don't know if there's capabilities of this, but if there is, then maybe, Aaron, we can put a link to that OIG report for people to click on the YouTube page. And we can also put it in the description. So we will put that link to the OIG report so you can see for yourself. Because what I've learned is you may not believe the words that come out of my mouth, but I'm going to supply you with the documentation to make up your mind yourself. And this OIG report tells it all. So that's who Josh Waits is, and his wife made sure to take the day off to come sit in the courtroom to bask in someone else's misfortune. But as we've said, good and bad karma all comes back to you. And in that courtroom is where you guys heard the judge scold me for that resentencing. And then once the resentencing happened, as Mom described, she thought she was going back to Lexington. And she was so excited. And it's sad to say that you're excited to go back to the federal prison camp in Lexington, Kentucky, because this is a camp that is on an old poppy field to where drugs come up in the water. There's no air conditioning. There's rarely heat there. You name it, all the worst things in the world are there. But she was happy to go back. And I will never forget getting that phone call that she was at Grady County Jail in Oklahoma. I thought I couldn't hear her any more broken than I did before, and I did. And for her to tell me that she doesn't even have clean water to drink. We live in the United States of America, what's supposed to be the greatest nation on earth. We have illegal immigrants coming into our country. Actually, I don't even want to say immigrants, because immigrants, I believe, come into our country with due process. They come into our country by abiding by the law, following the steps, doing the right thing to become a citizen of the United States of America. So we have these illegals coming into our country, and we give them food cards, we give them hotel rooms, cell phones, you name it. But we can't even give our own citizens clean drinking water. And I feel bad for the people that are within Grady County, these residents who have been told to boil your water before drinking it. This should not be happening in our country. It just shouldn't be. And then for my mother to tell me that there were cameras in the bathroom, I was besides myself. I started reaching out to my lawyers, congressmen, and unfortunately the government has won when there have been lawsuits about cameras in the bathrooms. But it was ruled upon that the footage, if it is a women's facility, the footage can only be reviewed by female officers. And if it's a male facility, it can only be viewed by male officers. If you've followed me for a while and you've listened to my podcast, then you know pretty much nothing is off limits, and I just tell it how it is. And well, today we're going to be talking about a New Year's resolution that you'll actually stick to. It's ditching uncomfortable bras for good. Seriously, life's too short to wear bad bras. Luckily, today's episode is brought to you by Honeylove, the brand that's completely revolutionized the wireless bra. Honeylove has cracked the code on combining comfort, support, and style. Say goodbye to poking underwires and straps that dig in. With Honeylove, you'll actually want to wear your bra. Wild, right? In fact, you might forget you're even wearing one. They're that comfortable. Trust me, I've tried them. And let's just say my rip it off the minute I get home days are officially over. The best part, their bras offer as much support as a traditional bra, even though they're wireless. Once you try Honeylove, you'll never go back. For a limited time, you can get Honeylove on sale. Yep, Honeylove on sale. Treat yourself to 20% off your entire order by heading to honeylove.com/unlocked. Support the show and check them out because you deserve this glow up. Again, head to honeylove.com/unlocked for 20% off your entire order. I don't know about you guys, but the older I get, the more I realized it's not so easy to have the body you had when you were 18, 20, 21. I hate that. But we don't have to let that hold us back from getting the body we deserve. You can check out the Permanent Solutions by Sono Bello. Lipo used to be such a bad word, but we're also supposed to act like we love every part of our bodies. And well, that's BS. Getting your body back is so hard. I get it. That's why I want you guys to check out Sono Bello, the most known secret with celebs and influencers. So many have had lipo, whether it's a small touch-up or a total makeover. No one has a perfect body. But lipo has changed, and Sono Bello has been at the forefront with using LAL technology and getting these beautiful natural outcomes for each person. Our friends at Sono Bello are offering you their best deal. You're now included in their New Year's savings event, but appointments are limited, so please get on this. Sono Bello doctors are masters in micro laser fat removal, a brilliant technique that removes stubborn fat permanently. Wherever your problem areas, tummy, love handles, thighs, arms, it's gone in one comfortable visit. Eating healthy and workouts are great. Don't get me wrong. Keep doing that. But if you want to lose that stubborn fat in one visit, check out Sono Bello. Save big during their New Year's savings event. Schedule your free consultation now at sonobello.com/unlocked. That's sonobello.com/unlocked. There's no way for them to monitor that. So that is BS, and there should never be allowed a camera in a restroom. I don't care if you say it's prison, so what? That right there should be a human rights issue. It should be a women's rights issue. It should be a men's rights issue. Hell, just like I said, human rights issue. These men and women are locked down 24/7. They're in prison. They go through strip searches. They go through raids. These officers know what's in this prison. These officers also know what's in the prison because they're bringing in contraband. There should never be a time where there are cameras in bathrooms. And that is something that I'm going to fight tooth and nail in Congress about. That is, again, put yourself in the body of someone who has been sexually assaulted. To be in a bathroom to know that there's a camera and someone behind that camera watching you, that's like being sexually assaulted all over again. So this is something that people don't realize, but it needs to be taken into consideration. There needs to be reforms surrounding this. I also am in the process of writing a bill to put in Congress for women who are incarcerated. And that I am doing with, thank goodness. So to rewind a second, I have CPAC has brought me on board to be a senior fellow for criminal justice reform. So I am working with their criminal justice center on a lot of reform initiatives. And I am so grateful for that opportunity and job to be able to come in and make a difference, because I am seeing things that 99% of these politicians haven't seen and they don't know exist. I'm able to come in and speak from my heart and experience and knowledge and education on these things. With my role with CPAC as a senior fellow for criminal justice reform, and along with my lawyer, Brett Tolman, who is the executive director of Right on Crime, we are in the process of putting a bill in front of Congress for women who are incarcerated that states that women can only be transported with biological women Women can only be housed with biological women. Women get the same visitation rights as men because they don't in a lot of places. And that you should be able to show up to a resentencing hearing via Zoom if you are already in federal custody. That not only takes away from the traumatic experience that the individual in custody may experience, but it also saves taxpayer dollars. And the BOP is known for government waste. They are. I have a spreadsheet that I have created that shows how the BOP can cut their budget by 10%, which is $1 billion if they would just implement the First Step Act properly. And that is sitting in front of the right individuals to do something about. So, and again, people say you didn't care about this until it affected your family. You're right. I didn't. I didn't know any better. I had no idea this world existed. I grew up to believe we live in the greatest nation on earth. There's no country that does it better. When in reality, a lot of that's a lie. I wish I could say that we're at the forefront of criminal justice reform. We're at the forefront of healthcare. We're at the forefront of all these big issues, but we're not. But now that I've gone through this and I've seen it firsthand, I know too much to not do something about it. So just like when a family member gets diagnosed with cancer, or I just think or you go through a legal battle and you decide you want to be a lawyer. Family member gets diagnosed with cancer, you decide you want to be a doctor. Until you went through it, you didn't have a heart for it. It's just the reality of it. So that's really where I'm at with that. Reading that letter was tough. It was the first time I had opened it. And reading it and seeing my mom's handwriting, just seeing her handwriting adds another layer to things. And to just know the hurt she's endured, I just have to believe that it's for a greater cause. It's for a greater purpose. And because of the hurt and trauma she's endured, we're going to be able to change the lives of millions of people. And you may not have a heart for criminal justice reform, but what I would ask is to open your heart to it. To open your heart to see how broken the system is, to see how these men and women are treated. Our facilities should be a place for rehabilitation and not a place to foster abuse. So I just hope you guys keep following along with us in this journey, and I'll let you know when I plan to go sit in front of Congress, when I speak to these key members about the things I want to put in place. I have a senator who's going to potentially come on my podcast, and I am so excited about him. He is not a far leftist, not a far right. He is smack dab in the middle. And I truly love his viewpoints on things. So he is kind of standing by me. I'm standing by him. And I'm excited to see where the future takes us. So for CPAC, thank you for bringing me on board. Thank you for letting me take my hurt and turn it into something positive. Thank you for believing in me, the Schlaps, everyone there. I appreciate it more than you know. Also, before I wrap up, something I did not touch on that I want to touch on because I had posted on social media, but Dad's facility is closing down. FPC Pensacola is closing down. It's a bittersweet feeling. I am happy it's closing down because no human being should be subjected to the conditions or treatment that facility gave. I'm sad that it's closing down because I don't know where he's going to go. I don't know where they're going to try and put him. They have threatened to Janet Genelette, who works there at the facility, hates Dad. She's the one who there are allegations against mail fraud with her. There are numerous allegations against her. And she has stated that she's going to send him so far up in New York to make it harder for his family to visit him. I hope and pray that this does not happen, because that is pure retaliation, and I will not stand for it. Within BOP policy, you have to be within 500 miles of your home. And I hope and pray they abide by that policy, because if not, you guys know I will fight tooth and nail. But the facility is closing down, and they will be demolishing that facility. I am going to do everything in my power to stop that demolition. And you may ask, why? Wasn't that your end goal? Yes, that was my end goal. But it's not my end goal until I get all the documentation that I need. And the documentation that I need is a full inspection, a full and thorough inspection of that facility and the environments. I need to know the amount of lead-based paint, black mold, asbestos. I need to know the numbers in the drinking water. I need to know it all, because there are men leaving there that leave there with numerous medical issues, cancer, you name it. So they went to that facility for a certain time, and they're leaving with a lifetime sentence. So I want to have all the documentation for these men to file a class action lawsuit if they deem fit. And unfortunately, the BOP is trying to destroy any evidence that we may have for that. So I'm going to try to stop the demolition of that. And I don't know where Dad's going to go. And that's the tough part. And after reading these letters from Mom that describe her transit process, I know it's going to be horrid on Dad. And it breaks my heart to know that I'm going to now have had two parents to go through that traumatic experience. But if Mom can do it, Dad can do it. And I know that God has got a plan for it all. There's a purpose, and God will protect them and never forsake them. So I just have to keep praying. And as we close this podcast out, I would just ask you guys, if you don't have a heart for criminal justice reform, open your eyes to it, open your heart to it, do the research. And I would ask that you pray for my mom and dad, and you pray for any other family out here that has a family member or family members that are incarcerated, because it's a new challenge every single day. And to have to worry if your loved one is safe is tough. Men and women die in these facilities every single day, and the Bureau of Prisons cannot give us an explanation as to why these men and women have died. So just please say a prayer. Until next time, I'm just going to keep praying. So thank you again for listening and supporting. We couldn't do it without you.